Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and this was the irae interview with Kaziklu Bey. Wilhelm Ehrenburg Chronicles, basically. I think it's getting more and more interesting. Let's see what happens here. I guess after that battle, right? Or training of sorts? And so I woke up to find myself spread out on the ground. There were wounds all over me and I could barely even move a muscle. At the very least, I was certain I was still alive, but I had no memory of what happened after the moment during the fight. That happened in the last episode. I actually didn't mind all that much. After all, it meant that I'd climaxed so hard that I'd completely forgotten everything. What? Even if my head didn't remember what happened, my body sure did. The pain and wounds all over it were more than enough proof of what went down. Just at once, I really didn't care how the battle turned out. Instead, I just wanted to burn my soul. Nothing else mattered. It was pretty damn clear that I went all out and did whatever I wanted, so everything else was an afterthought. Well, I guess against those guys, you definitely had to go all out. Yeah. Even if normally he thought, you know, I'm going all out, he probably still wasn't, right? Sort of. Or more like, you know, there's no sense of accomplishment with other fights. Something like that. After all, I knew I'd have plenty more chance to settle the score with those assholes, so I figured I could just leave it for later and be satisfied with the knowledge that I succeeded. The moment I thought that...
Omezame kana, Bey.
Ooh, Mercurius. A man's voice stopped me from enjoying the pleasant remnants of my exaltation and pulled me back to reality. Not caring about the pain, I jumped back up on my feet.
おやおや、無理をするなよ。かなりひどいありさまなのだぞ。こちらまで痛くなる。城で死ぬのはお前にとって本望かもしれんがね。まだ準備が整いきっておらんのだ。つまり端的に言うと、犬死にになりかねない。マキナのごとくなれるかどうかわからんし、なれたとしても不安定だ。所詮今は、黄金閣下の想像で存在できているに過ぎん。解除すれば消えてしまうし、不死というには甘いだろう。そもそも大元である黄金殿からして、まだそういうものになっていない。以前、ラインハルト・ハイドリヒは人なのだ。不敬を承知で言わせてもらえば、死んでしまうし、殺せてしまう。そしてそうなった時、彼のレギオンも引きずられる。
Gotcha.
お前の求める不滅とは、そのように儚いものではないだろう。黙れよ。
I somehow became able to open my mouth and speak, and the first thing I said was enough to end the exchange. I didn't give a shit about absurd scenarios where Lord Hydrich died. I didn't care about all the other small details either.
てめえには心の底からうんざりする。消えろよ、関わってくるんじゃね
え。Nothing good could come from dealing with him. Worst case scenario, you'd get a curse for life.
俺はてめえに言われたような負け犬じゃねえ。奪うものなんだ。欲しいもんは手に入れんだよ。
Well, about that. When he'd given me the Kaziklu Bey alias, he'd also claimed that I would never gain anything, but the people I desired would always slip out of my grasp. Well, we know about that. I didn't like, accept, or acknowledge that. I even felt like he was just picking a fight back then.
堅くなだな。しかしまあ、信じる信じないはそちらの自由か。自身を奪うものだと定義するのは、飢えている己を自覚しているからだろうに。ベイ、一つ教えてやろう。奪うものとは奪われ続けるものなのだよ。足りないからこそ欲しくなるのだ。 満足しているものならば、そもそも外に手を伸ばさん。
He formed an implicative smile. I couldn't tell whether it was an expression of ridicule or pity.
波動の差がだな。講義的にはお前の他にも言えることだよ。黄金閣下とて例外ではない。
Oh, I see.
ゆえ、皆がその業を突破できるように私は手を尽くしている。ならばこそ、まずは自身で認めることだ。でなくば話が始まらん。九段の少女と何があったかは知らんがね。彼女を奪いたいと思っているなら、今のお前は感心せんぞ。意中の女性を3日も放置していいことなど何もない。
True.
は？おい、ちょっと待て。
One of the things he said made me open my eyes.
3日だと？
さよう、気づいていなかったのか？ここでお前たちがじゃれ始めてからすでに3日経っている。
やれやれ。
没頭すると周りが見えなくなるのは悪い癖だな。つい半日ほど前、黄金閣下に止められるまでひたすら遊び続けていたわけだ。まあそれはそれでグラズヘイムに適性がある証と称えてやらんでもないが。
If I just stayed there, he'd have kept talking for hours on end, and so I ignored my cleaning body, stood up and began walking away. Ignoring all this bullshit about her being my dearest or whatever, leaving the she is, come on! Or whatever, leaving the idiot alone for the 3 whole days wasn't good, so I had to return as quickly as possible.
結構女性には紳士であれよ。いつ何が起こるかわからん。
You know what's crazy? It's the fact that he's telling the truth. This is absolutely the truth.
黄金閣下はついにクリストフを追うと決めたようで、そのためにマキナとシュライバーを召したわけだが、それも予定通りに行くとは限らんからな。まったく。未来はいつも闇の中だよ。
I had no idea who he was talking to. I knew it was fucking nonsense, but I didn't even feel like telling him to shut up. That aside, I was feeling somewhat uneasy. Counting 3 days I'd spent fighting, it had been a week since Claudia's mysterious recovery. Convenient numbers like that were always meaningful, especially when the calendar was involved. I wanted to laugh it off as a superstition, but I was actually overcome by a sense of danger I found difficult to describe. I felt like I had to go to Claudia and see her as soon as possible. As if to get rid of the unpleasant laughter behind me, I dashed out of the arena and headed back to my place. But when I neared my destination, I noticed my legs suddenly grow heavy. No, it was because of the injuries. Sure, the price I paid for fucking around for 3 days straight was huge and it wouldn't heal easily, but there was another reason. Uh-oh. Basically, as silly as it seems, I just had no idea what I was supposed to do upon seeing her. It would have been cool if she were as fine as always, but I had no idea what to do after that. Oh boy. The shitty memories I'd forgotten because of the playtime began flowing back to me. The last time we met, she was mad at me, so what was I supposed to apologize to her or something? Yeah. Fuck that, I didn't do anything wrong. She was the one who'd misunderstood the situation, and it was her fault for falling for some shitty acting. I don't know about that. So, if anyone had to apologize here, it was her, without a doubt. But if I want to have her understand that, I had to explain what happened back then. But doing that would probably annoy me just as badly as having to apologize. It would make me feel like I was making excuses which would piss me off something fierce. What? This is kinda... whatever. With all that in mind, I considered acting like nothing happened. But I felt like that attitude wouldn't work. It would have made me seem like I was extremely conscious of it, which would have been pretty damn pathetic. There didn't seem to be a good way to handle the situation. Hell, the very fact I was thinking it through was perfect proof of just how shitty this whole thing was. The problem was fucking stupid, but that was exactly what made it so hard to solve. Screw thinking it through. I had no idea what would happen, but I decided to handle things as they come. As they came. With that in mind, I walked up to the house and violently opened the door. Why this guy? I acted menacing, like I was picking a fight for something, but what I got was a belated expression of surprise.
一体どうしたんですか、ビルヘルム。
What the hell? She was actually acting the same as always. It was so anticlimactic, it filled me with relief and expression for primarily the latter. Claudia exaggeratedly covered her mouth and looked at me with bewilderment. I had no idea what, but something had her act weird.
あなた、その怪我。
This guy. And that was it. Finally understanding her, I lightly waved my hand and acted like it was nothing.
気にすんな。どうってことねえよ。こんなもん。
そんなわけないでしょ。何を言ってるんですか、あなたは。もう。ほら、こっち。早く来てください。服も脱いで。
Nice.
いや、だから、ほっとけって。俺はお前。
いいから話は後で聞きます。今はとにかく治療。返事は？
これ引っ張んなってね。言ってんだよ。
I won't tell her that it would heal and her treatment didn't mean shit, but Claudia didn't seem to be in a listening mood. Guessing my state gave her an itch she had to scratch. Anyway, she became pushed to the point of coercive and insisted on nursing me. I could have resisted it, but felt it stupid to do. Situations like this were best handled by letting her do what she wanted. Perhaps. So despite all my grumbling, I obediently played along. Hey.
まったく、何をやってるんでしょうね。あなたって人は。
Because of that, I ended up having to listen to her endless scolding. I was sitting on the floor, while Claudia held a first aid kit in her hand and just did her thing.
子供じゃないんですから、ちょっと決まりが悪くなったくらいで、家出なんかしないでくださいよ。しかも帰ってきたら来たで、こんなこと。この3日間、一体何をしてたんですか？どう見てもこれ、普通の怪我じゃありませんよ。
There is some of that, yeah.
そりゃ今よ、バスタード。
まさか、戦場に行っていたとでも言うんですか？
You could sort of call it that, yes.
そうだな。そんなに外れちゃいねえよ。
I thought of explaining in detail, but she wouldn't have understood, and it wasn't wrong that I'd spent the past 3 days going through carnage unmatched by most wars. It left me with tons of wounds, and though they were gradually healing, they weren't too pretty at that particular point in time, so it was perfectly reasonable for her to be shocked.
呆れます。憂さ晴らしに戦争する人がどこにいますか？
A crazy one.
あなたがだいぶいろいろとダメな人なのは知っているつもりでしたが、ここまでとはさすがに思いませんでした。本当にもうお説教する気にさえなりません。
So I will continue doing exactly that.
してんじゃねえかよ。
And I didn't want her telling me I was hopeless. She probably read my mind and formed a self-depreciating smile.
あなたが帰ってきたら謝ろうと思っていたんですけどね。
へ？
すんなりそうさせてくれないのが歯がゆいです。思い通りにならない人って腹立ちますね。
That was definitely my line. She tied a bandage around me, making me groan.
は？なんだよ。謝りたいだ？
ええ。3日前のことは自分でも一方的だと思いましたし、言い訳になっちゃいますが、あの時の私はおかしかった。今思えばの話ですけど、あまりにも短絡的で。両夫たるもの、いかなる時も公正さを失ってはならないと叩き込まれてきたんですよ。だというのに、なんというか、私はルイの肩を持ちすぎですね。それがあなたにとって面白くないというのはわかります。
That name got a stronger reaction out of... Whoa, wait, by the way. I mean, he has some wounds, that's for sure, because, well, clearly blood on the bandage, but... Curious, where are the gunshots or where are the other stuff, right? Anyway. The name got a stronger reaction out of me, so Claudia continued with a hint of panic in her tone.
もちろん、変な意味で言ってるんじゃないですよ。ただ当たり前の心理として、あなたは不公平に感じることが多かっただろうし、その辺をおもんぱかれなかった私は。
公正じゃなかったってか。
はい、すみませんでした。
I could feel her hang her head behind me, and it made me feel somewhat bad. I did think that she was the one who had to apologize, but despite getting what I wanted, I didn't feel at least a bit refreshed.
あの野郎はその後どうした？
気になります？
I nonchalantly continued the conversation just to distract myself, but I didn't want her answering my question with another question, and what the hell was up with her tone? It was full of some weird anticipation. Saying something back to her would have been a loss in my book, so I just silently radiated my anger. Claudia persisted for a moment, but then sighed in disappointment.
彼はすぐに帰りましたよ。別にその後、私と何があったというわけでもありません。
そんなことまで聞いちゃいねえよ。
聞いて欲しかったんですけどね。
As if in protest, she tightened another bandage. This time I endured it without groaning.
あの野郎、あれはお前に惚れてるぜ。何がいいのか知らねえが、とにかくそこは間違いねえ。だったらよ。
Said a guy that clearly has fallen for someone as well. Didn't that mean that her goal had been fulfilled? As long as she became somebody's love, she should have been fine. It didn't have to be me. Well, why not? I went and asked her about that.
満足できたんじゃねえのかよ。
知りません。
And yet she not only didn't give me a proper answer, but also grew sulky.
なんであなたはそんなことを言うんですかね。ちょっとここで私がそうですねって返したら、あなたはどうするつもりなんですか？それはあなたにとって望ましい展開ですか？
And again she answered with another question. It pissed me off, so I radiated more anger, but she didn't yield this time around. In fact, she was getting about as angry as me. It was a weird kind of stalemate.
何をてめえは。
Her behavior seemed so freaking pointless. I seriously didn't mind if she was satisfied with just Ludwig's love. Of course, she'd also have had to fall for him too, but my plans wouldn't have changed regardless. I had no interest in saintly starfishes that just laid down accepted death. Sure, there was a difference in whether she lost her innocence to me or him, but the result would have been the same. In that case, it would be less like Romeo and Juliet kind of thing and more like a story where I came in like a paramour and burned their happy home to the ground. And honestly, that would be very me. That was what went on my head, and I tried to say that I didn't care, but...
いや、気に食わねえな。
But my mouth went and said the exact opposite for some dumb reason.
お前は俺のもんだ。 クラウディア。
That was a line I'd said many times so far, but this time there was something more to it.
俺が拾った命なんだから、俺に捧げろ。身も心も、魂もだ。俺もそうする。
One thing was clear, the nonsense I was speaking was my true feelings. I could feel her gasp behind me. She closed the fingers she placed on my back, which were lightly shaking. The sound of the heartbeat was too damn loud, it was impossible to tell whether it was mine or Claudia's. My throat was dry, I felt hot, and yet I wasn't leaking a single drop of sweat. The abnormalities I'd never experienced before were definitely unpleasant, and I wouldn't have minded throwing away a few grounds to make them go away, but at the same time I felt like I wanted to feel them forever. The contradictory, incoherent emotions made me doubt my own sanity. Uh-oh. Claudia's breathing was strangely loud. I felt a hint of dampness as she brought her mouth closer and... Her wet tongue traced one of my wounds. The hell did you just do? She suddenly yelped and jumped away from me. I turned around and, for the first time ever, I saw her scared expression. Hey. What did she just do? The answer was clear, and she probably knew that better than anyone. There was a hint of my blood around her mouth, so she could surely still feel its taste. As if repenting for her sinfulness, Claudia wiped her mouth, turned around, and rushed out into the dark town, brushing against me in the process.
おい、待て。なんだてめえ。なんなんだよ
Move your ass, man. At that moment I really hated my limited vocabulary. I would have liked to say something with at least a bit of meaning behind it, but it wasn't like words would have done much either, honestly. I couldn't make sense of the situation, but it was obvious that this wasn't that kind of scene. If I wanted to know the truth, I had to act.
クソが笑えねえんだよ
I roared, put on some clothes, dashed out of the house, and ran after Claudia. I was gonna catch her and ask why the fuck she started acting like a vampire. However, once I went out, I couldn't see her anywhere anymore. That just gave me more questions. How could a sickly woman run so damn fast? The town was shrouded in a curtain-like darkness. For some reason, I felt like it was mocking me. What the fuck? Angel in the Rosencrantz.
ようこそメトシェラ。やはりこうしてまた会えたな。
What the heck is going on for? Why did... The person said that to me with nothing but a sense of hospitality in his mannerisms. No, he was speaking to me, but the person dwelling within me. I was merely seeing glimpses of his memories.
ああ、200年と少しぶりか、水銀よ。今はカリオストロというのだったな。どうも宮中で派手に遊んだそうではないか。あのサンジェルマンというのもお前だろう。以前のホーエンハイムもそうだったが、無駄に目立つのが好きらしい。年がいもなく属性をかき回したがる癖でもあるのか。まあおかげで私はお前を探すのに苦労しなかったわけなのだね。
This was a dream I saw not through my own, Claudia Jerusalem's eyes, but through his. It was a dream of wandering the world for far too many years to count. I'd been seeing them this whole week, and this was yet another one.
癖かと言われれば確かにそうだな。説明すると長くなるが、私はあらゆる局面において物事を試さずに折れないのだよ。御身との関係もその一環だ。私の投じた一石により、そちらの選択が未知なる景色を描いてくれれば良いと願う。ゆえに、さあメトシェラよ。私を探していたという理由を聞かせてもらいたい。
He'd been told what kind of being he was, became aware that he would travel the world until it ended and that it would happen sooner than later. Because of that, he sought a meaning to life, something he could probably point to at as the worth of his existence, so he would be blessed with the satisfaction that came alongside it. In that way, he was much like me.
理由？極めて簡単なことだ。私は私が欲する夢の形を見出した。
Huh?
お前の元を訪れたのはその報告と若干の協力を願うためだ、水銀よ。長く長く生きてきたが、私は魔術らしき魔術に疎いのでな。
Huh?
大それたものは必要ないのだ。些細な取り回しに関する知識だけを賜りたい。
ほう。つまり御身は私に教えを請いに来たと。何のために？
He was seeking something else, and magic was but a means to an end for him. In other words, magic was absolutely necessary for him to fulfill his desire. But what was it? What kind of salvation did he seek? The answer was very concise and simple.
伴侶だよ。私はつがいを求めている。
Fuck.
すなわち、対の存在が欲しいのだ。このまま終わりの時までたった一人、何とも交われずに去っていくのは耐えられない。私は彼女のためにあったのだと確信することで救われたいし、救いたいのだ。闇は単体である限り意味をなさず、虚無に過ぎない。光があってこそ、闇は闇として成立できる。
そして逆もまた真なりと。
その通りだ。私は光の御子を求め、欲し、それと添い遂げることで生涯に意義を得る。この身は苦音の長きにわたり、ただ一人の闇だった。よって私のつがいとなるのは、月のごとき儚い光ではありえない。清烈で正常で命の惨禍をまばゆく体現する無休の太陽。闇を知り私を許し、されど絶対的に昇華する輝きの魂たるもの。それこそ我が伴侶にふさわしい。
And thus, like a saint sending out a prayer, he'd sought to find such an entity.
であれば御身、私に探索を手伝ってほしいのか？
Sadly, it's not that.
いいや、そうした必要は求めていない。言っただろう。光と闇をつなぐ因果は強固で深く、自然摂理の相関だと。故に私が自覚を持って動く以上、自然に引き合い、出会うはずだ。そこに
So I
疑
guess
い
that
は持っ
happened
てい
in
る。
the past. Him meeting with Mercurius, right?
私がお前に求めるものは、伴侶を延命させる手段である。
Oh, so that's why she got healed. Gotcha. Those words made me gasp. Could he have been him? In that case, the light he spoke of could be.
なぜなら、私の願いは伴侶と出会うことではない。伴侶と終わりの日まで添い遂げることだ。世界はもうすぐ死ぬという。それは実際にそうなのだろう。だが、我々の尺度で語る長短に、人の時間感覚を当てはめるのは正しくあるまい。あと少し、もうわずか。そう言ってから1000年持つことすら当たり前に予想できる。事実、先の階段から早200年を経ているのだから。
2 centuries, 2 days, same thing.
人間ならば、 3度は死んでいる計算だろう。
True.
確かに。
Maybe even 4 times.
御身の願い理解した。魔術を知りたいのはそのためか。メトシェラ殿は存在それ自体が神秘の塊と言ってよいゆえ、むしろ基礎を知らんのだな。鳥が空を飛ぶための手段と努力を下せぬのと同じ。己がごく自然に長命であるからこそ、短命に生まれついた者がどのようにして延命するのかわからんと。
そういうことだ。していかに。
He will definitely be like, sure man, because I want to, you know, chaos. I was curious about the answer, but I didn't want to hear it. I felt like knowing it would take me past the point of no return. My instincts told me that I would learn the truth behind the abnormality in me.
私から享受することは何もない。御身は知っているはずだ。
Oh, that's surprising.
初めて会った時のことをお忘れか？あの時こう言っていただろう。近く感じる概念を知り、真似事を試みたことも過去にあると。もう一度それをやればよいのだよ。
For example, the blood-sucking lowly creatures spewing ground-dwelling Nachterer, those who were buried too nearly, moving cadavers and the like. But there was only one thing that could have referred to.
私に再びまがいものの皮をかぶれとお前は言うのか。
おいては子に従えとも言うだろう。闇の神聖たる御身をもとに生まれた二次創作のごとき幻想だが、そうバカにしたものでもない。彼らはメトシェラの子供なのだよ。そしてだからこそ、私などから生病法を授かるよりは無理もないはず。不快であろうし、窮屈でもあろうがね。しかしそれが一番マシだ。何も最後まで被る必要はどこにもあるまい。伴侶たるものを変えてしまえばすでに用なし。よくできた子だったとねぎらいの一つでもかけた後に脱ぎ捨てればよいだろう。
But the conversation made my throat feel maddeningly dry. A certain thing I wished to drink came to mind, and I thought I'd go insane. My neck was hot and it throbbed violently. The rain lies the answer. I unwillingly scratched it before tearing off the bandages covering it. Oh snap. My exposed neck had an inflamed, messy wound on it. It looked akin to a bite from a beast. In a way, it felt indecent, and was the proof that fangs had pierced into me. It pulsated and wriggled like a second heart. Why did it take me so long to notice such an abnormality? Because I didn't want to worry him, because he would have gotten mad at me, or was it because I didn't think it was serious? No. I definitely knew it, but even so I'd kept it hidden. And I was in one right now. I always awaited their arrival and was even averse to waking up. Secretly, but with certainty, I'd accepted the changes and anticipated the future that waited beyond them. For whatever reason, I believed that swelling feelings and uncontrollable torrents of emotions would definitely lead me to my sanctuary. And if this was the result of that, then, dear Lord, what a sinful creature I've become. I ran and dashed to escape the embarrassment, but I knew that I was actually heading for something as well. I was being called. I could hear a voice beckoning me closer. Uh-oh. Before me I saw nothing but a boundless, profound, pure dark. And I felt like I was flying into its arms. Oh no. That son of a bitch, by the way.
愛する者のためならば、汚れも私はいとわぬさ。
Wilhelm,
どうした？
you can go all out.
何を笑っている？
いや、何？やはり似た者同士だと思ってね。 私もつい先日だが、私の女神を見出したのだよ。彼女のために全てを捧げると誓ったのさ。
For that, the other desire.
求める結末は少々恩義と違うがね。まあ、些細なことだ。ともかく応援させてもらおう。さあ、これを祝いの品だ。近く現れるだろう、メトシェラの花嫁へと。
I couldn't tell what it was that he gave him.
受け取るがよい。きっと似合うと私は信じる。
そうだな。ああ、
Indian Mercury,
そ
you son
の
of a
通りだ
bitch.
とも。
However, I clearly understood that it had something to do with me.
核のごとし、聖なる光に私は会いたい。
I shouted, denying it with all I was, but didn't even feel like the words I was saying were my own. The pulsations around my neck were dragging me into the dark.
そんな大それた評価いらないから。
I merely loved the light, wanted to touch it, and perhaps even grant it. That was all there was to it. I tried for him to return me to what I was. He had the answer to that materialized itself as dark wings that embraced the entirety of my being. Even the subtle pain running in my neck.
共に行こう。終わりの日まで。
What the fuck? You seem darker. I slowly disappeared into the whirling torrent of darkness. It was deep, profound, and endless, much like the aeons he'd walked.
マジであのバカどこ行きやがった。
I'd completely lost sight of Claudia and was pretty much at a loss, but then I finally realized something obvious. The places she would go in the town were limited. As long as she didn't just lose her mind and start running around blindly, then she'd probably stick to places she knew. Hell, even if she did go nuts, she'd pick her destination subconsciously.
どうなりゃ。
The church. There was only one place that came to mind. I turned around and began running straight to the cathedral. It wasn't even 3 minutes away from me, so I figured I'd catch her in no time. What really mattered was what came after that. I had to focus on what I'd do after I found her. Specifically, I had to figure out the one thing that I actually wanted to do and then give my all. After briefly thinking it through, I came up on one thing.
てめえは聖女なんかじゃねえ。そんなもんにはならせねえ。
What circumstances and thoughts made her go for my blood didn't matter to me one bit. That wasn't the first thing I had to care about. Thing is, she'd run away because she thought it was shameful. Clearing up that misunderstanding was way more important. After all, if there was one thing I knew well since I was a brat.
人間なんてな汚ねえんだよ。クソみてえな生き物なんだ。そしてお前もそんなもんだ。
Claudia had to stop acting so fucking innocent. She was basically the apex of bothersome virgins. Why the fuck would anyone get flustered about a piece of shit doing something shitty? She did say something about not seeing herself as a big deal, but the sentiment clearly wasn't strong enough. She was still bothered by appearances and all of that crap.
だからあの程度で焦るんだよ。思い上がるな。
I wouldn't be disappointed if she showed me her dirtiest, most sinful sides. Fuck, if she wanted to teach me love, then...
お高く止まってんじゃねえ。
I had to tell her no matter what. Mustering my determination, I arrived at the cathedral and kicked the door open.
Claudia!
However, what I saw there was... You son of a whore. This guy's going down. Dude. Wilhelm, full power, go out. There were two intertwining silhouettes before the altar. One of them was Claudia, staring blankly to space with dull eyes and slightly twitching chin. The other was Ludwig, embracing and practically falling to her while burying his face in the neck. What the fuck was he doing to her? The scene was so simple and obvious that I actually found it hard to understand. I stood in daze as Claudia's body lightly shook. A drop of blood leaked out of her neck and fell to the floor. It took only a moment, but it felt like an eternity. He slowly raised his face and looked me in the eye.
なんだお前。今頃になりやってきたのか。
He grinned to give me a glimpse of his bloody fangs.
遅かったな。 彼女はもはや私のものだ。
Oh shit. The one thing you might not want to do is to piss this guy off. Like, piss him off the charts, basically. I know he's always annoyed and so on, but now he's angry. At that moment, my limited self-restraint was shattered into dust. A bestial roar, imbued with magical power, it was strong enough to shatter the cathedral's interior and form a brief storm of broken flooring and pews. I had never snapped this badly. I jumped at supersonic speeds and closed in on the shithead while making my way through the shattered stained glass flank around, when I raised my fist and threw it toward his mug. But instead of getting the expected feel of his face, it felt like I'd just punched mist. It was the same as it was back in Katyn. Unlike 3 days ago, my attack didn't work. Not only that, countered. That asshole. I was also subjected to it and blown away by some power I didn't understand. The wounds that were close to healing opened up again. Feeling as if my body were being torn apart, I looked at him through distorted vision.
身の程を知れよ出来損ない。お前の牙などそんなものだ。子が親に、まがい者が本物に、そしてノアの子孫がメトシェラに勝てる道理もないだろう。もとよりお前のごとき若造は全く問題にしていない。
I want him dead as well.
所詮私を間違った形で信仰している無様な贋作ではないか。
With cloth in his hand, Ludwig rose to the air. His cloak spread out like wings and melted into the dark, in a way that I couldn't even see where it began. His own face and hands too took on the color of darkness. He and it became one the same. The surrounding dark was him, much like a limp. It reminded me of a certain concept. Or something like that, for it had an absurdly large scale. As I gazed at him floating in the air, it felt like I was just seeing a humanoid shape on an extremely huge giant. In fact, even that comparison was far too weak.
なんだそれは。お前たちの陳腐な理屈で私を測るのはいい加減にやめてもらおう。闇は闇、そこにあるもの。開闢から存在する世界の裏で、それが私だ。故に。
The man, claiming to be dark, slowly rose up and pointed at me.
せめてお前が求めた夜の技を見せてやろう。クラウディアを私に引き合わせてくれた例もある。核を知れば、二度とその鮮慮な夢で世界を汚すこともあるまい。
Suddenly a torrent of blood burst out from each and every wound on my body. I couldn't even tell what he did or what happened to me. However, I could clearly feel the dark gift begin to fade. Helga was screaming too. All the magic blood that made Wilhelm Ehrenburg into Kaziklu Bey was being squeezed out by the hands of the darkness.
知れよ、吸血鬼など幻想に過ぎん。
I felt as if my desire, ideal, pride and conviction was being crushed along with it.
お前は人だ。人として生き、死ぬがいい。世界が終わる日も近い。
He turned around, clouded in the whirling darkness.
待て。
I couldn't just let the fucker go. I extended my hand but couldn't reach, raised my voice but barely made a sound. I felt my craving, all that I was, leave my body with my blood.
さらばだ。
He gave me one last look before breaking through the cathedral's ceiling. I looked up as my consciousness faded away. I was left all alone under the sky, and not even the light of the moon could reach me. Holy fuck. That guy's strong. What the
共
fuck?
に行こうか、クラウディア。我々二人だけの天地へ。
Ludwig whispered these words, while showing great consideration for the unconscious girl in his arms. His expression and tone were fatherly. Utterly, come on, that's just sick. Making it hard to believe he was acting cold toward Wilhelm mere moments ago. Then again, perhaps this was his true self. Whatever the case, it quickly changed again. He furrowed his brow for a moment before forming a cynical wry grin.
とはいえ、そうだな。筋を通しておく必要は確かにあるか。面倒なことはごめんだが、そのためにも釘を刺しておかねばなるまい。
He turned his head and began flying toward a certain place. His speed wasn't particularly great, most likely because he was being considerate of Claudia. Even if he wasn't fast, however, there was an extremely great abnormality going on around him. As he flew, the world's night moved along with him. It wasn't a problem with the movement and placement of celestial bodies. It was much more absurd and terrifying. The shadowy regions themselves became akin to animals and accompanied him. No, that expression wasn't appropriate. After all, he was the darkness, the lord who dominated half of the world. Even then, that idea only applied when you conformed to the concepts of day and night. Naturally, darkness could be born anywhere, even when there was sunlight or artificial lighting. Anywhere where the light was blocked would become the domain of Methuselah. Caverns, dense woods, the sides of buildings, even the shadows cast by animals, humans included, were no exception. Therefore, the extraordinary vast, black kingdom that began moving was actually all part of Ludwig's body. He was a dependent of God, of a personification of an aspect of nature, born through people's worship of the dark in the long-gone age of mythology. He was a divinity who bore some of the weight of the current law, one who existed to keep the world running as it was. There were many of his kind in the past, but as the orgy began to die, the arcane weakened, making them return to nature. As such, he was the only one left. He'd become Methuselah, and still possessed a will because he was most akin to the one God, and as unyielding as his parent. If Ludwig were to purposely unleash his immense power and move as he pleased, the effect of that would be obvious. All the darkness would be torn away from the regions where it was far too early for morning to come. They would become an emptiness where neither night nor shadow reigned, and then vanish. Due to that fact, the world could crumble if he merely let go of all the restraint and traveled around the globe. Of course, he had no intention of doing so, but there was no denying that he was entirely capable of such a destruction. What the fuck? Okay, I mean, let's face it, he will be not good enough to beat Mercurius or the Golden Boy. And so he arrived at his destination. Wielding the might of his dark divinity, he looked down on Wawelsburg and spoke with a booming voice.
Kaziklu
For Ludwig's voice was haughty, he held Claudia tenderly and sincerely. He thought at this duality as if it was a proof that he'd acquired the light he so craved. In before something still happens.
感謝しよう。すべてが終わるその日まで、お前たちのことは忘れない。
In before Wilhelm actually managed to get up, right?
私からやれるものは何もないが、せめてお前たちの未来を祈ろう。邪魔立てもせんと約束する。ゆえに。
He was Methuselah. His very existence was an ancient miracle that surpassed even magic. His breath, gaze, and even words bore arcane powers that upset modern common sense. The fact that a king's voice reached the squirming darkness that was his dominion was the ultimate proof of that fact. He could be heard not just by Karl Kraft, but the other claws and fangs of the Obsidian Table, as well as everyone else within the night. Fully aware of that, he solemnly continued.
私の邪魔もせんと約束しろ。
A month later, half of the world felt the pressure of the densified darkness. People feared the dark. Being born with diurnal instincts, they saw places light couldn't reach as otherworldly. Even those such as Wilhelm, who adored the night, weren't any different at their core. They revered it exactly because it was fearful and tried to gain its power by extolling it. Wandering for just a single night's worth of darkness was deeply disturbing. I feel like it should be true, but that was both a truth and a law. And yes, even a single night was enough. Ludwig, however, was the oldest entity in the known world, one who'd lived for aeons.
私の安息を妨げるな。残る半分、終わりの日まで伴侶と添い遂げることこそ我が望み。無粋な真似をすれば容赦せん。
I doubt. Again, I doubt Wilhelm will allow any of that. Like, he will come with the fangs at you. Thousands, millions. He was being paid from years of dark night, so countless, less infinite. It was only obvious what would happen to the comparably short-lived creatures of the Obsidian Round Table if they touched but a fraction of Methuselah. The abyss would be so hard to bear that it would shatter their mortal minds. Ludwig's downright divine pressure made the half of the world focused around Europe turn to abject panic. Numerous people committed suicide or went insane. Those engulfed by the surge of darkness saw nightmares that would plague them and their children for years to come. It spawned art that was said to cause madness upon merely seeing, hearing or reading it, while many of the fetuses, still cradled within wombs, were turned into albinos, children of Noah. Holy fuck, this guy. It was a moment when everyone was shaken by the darkness of Methuselah. There were only two exceptions.
最後の神秘か。なるほどな。相変わらず無縁だぞカール。要はこれこそ K の意図したものであろうが。
Yep, as expected, those two are like meh. Reinhard Heydrich, he sat on his throne, chuckling in mild amusement, a joyous expression on his face.
否定はせぬが、さていかがする？もしやお気に召さぬかな？
Carcraft, he bent his mouth in jest, swaying in a mercurial manner. The dark pressure didn't scare the two one bit, for the former expressed it lovingly and the latter with clarity. It filled them both with amusement and lament. They acknowledged Ludwig's power and thanked him for it, but they sought a phenomenon completely detached from that concept.
ああ、まだだ。まだ基地が張れん。あなたもだろう、黄金よ。
It's like, meh, nothing special for the two of us.
怒りの日は依然とく。故に当たり前といえば当たり前だが、相応に手間をかけた点を鑑みれば落胆を禁じ得ない。
Not impressed.
羨ましいな、メトシェラよ。お前は満足したというのか。であれば。
The gold momentarily paused and looked up at the emptiness above, as if to peek through the castle ceiling and look directly at Ludwig.
こちらの満足にも付き合ってもらおう。我々にしてやれることは何もないと言っていたが、そんなことはあるまい。なあ、御身、メトシェラ殿よ。己は闇だと歌っていたが。
Wewelsburg suddenly began to shake. The legion within accepted their master's will and raised their war cry. Sieg Heil! Sieg Heil! Grant us victory! Sieg Heil Victoria!
私はそれを壊したことがあるのだろうか。ああ、知りたいな。試してみよう。
His love was destruction. His overflowing hegemony, charisma, made the castle take its true form. Let's go! Oh. That was all the reaction Ludwig gave in response, a mere breath. There was a hint of admiration, shock and disgust in it, so it wasn't like it didn't make him feel anything. In fact, he was surprised, but his reaction was abnormal nonetheless.
それがお前か、ハイドリヒ。全く罪深い男だな。 水銀の夢につながるという舞台道具。なるほど。確かになかなかの役者だよ。
What appeared was a skeleton the size of a mountain. The way it showed only its upper half and supported itself with its arms made it look like an undead that just crawled out of the realm of the deceased. That comparison couldn't be more fitting. The skeleton had appeared after Wewelsburg swelled up, and it was comprised of millions of souls. In a sense, this was hell. It was an army of those who'd perished in war, a palace of strife, where they'd kill each other for ages to come. Glatzheim was definitely hell, and this was but one of its forms. It was war, repulsive, fearful, but shining with the brilliance of gold. Some might call it the manifestation of humanity's malignancy. Not even a dependent of God was capable of handling it with ease. After all, they were almost the same. Therefore, there was something abnormal about Ludwig's ability to maintain his refinement and aloofness when faced with this hell. Perhaps it was his pride at Methuselah. But he even felt a hint of pity toward the army of war demons. He kept his composure even as the skeleton's large palate opened up and began gathering more heat than the nuclear bomb. The moment the power was about to be unleashed, a voice thick with anticipation rang out from the core of Glatzheim. A rising hole of strife, the destructive surge of energy became a golden beam that could reduce a country to ash. Even so, Ludwig remained unfazed, and because of that, destruction didn't occur. As though he were an all-consuming star of darkness, the light penetrated him and disappeared. No, that was wrong. Motherfucker has a full counter. What the hell? A moment later, accompanied by a heaven-shaking sound, Glatzheim's frame was shot into the air. It was caused by its own attack coming back to it through the shadows beneath. All darkness and shade were akin to Ludwig's palms. There was nothing surprising about what had occurred. To him, it was literally as simple as breathing. It was the equivalent of inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Probably not. Ludwig looked down at Glatzheim, which had collapsed due to its own attack. He knew full well what was much like a test of each other's powers, and that the hell hadn't lost a single soul yet, but what didn't bother him whatsoever. I feel like that's why they will chase you. Yeah. What would happen if you get someone with absolutely no interest to go into it for, right? That's probably their thinking right now. Even though it'd probably still be something they know, goes for knowledge. He turned around and left, dragging his darkness with him. With no station, he headed for the north, the land of his ideal. Despite his enemy getting the better of him, Reinhardt's visage didn't display a single hint of anger. In fact, he felt the opposite. It gave him great joy, and he found Ludwig worthy of his praise. Therefore, his next cross-faction was obvious. I knew it! I knew it!
あれほどの神秘。ただ女人との安らぎに口当てさせるなどあまりに惜しい。私が救わねばなるまいよ。
The words came from his very core. He honestly believed that love was destruction, and that war, the clash of destructive powers, was the true supreme heaven. The value system of his was unshakable and only expanded with each new opposing ideal he consumed, and that was exactly what made him a hegemony.
ではそのように。だが一つだけよろしいか。
ですか。
皆まで言うな。もちろんのこと分かっている。
If they were to fight Ludwig again, there was something that simply had to be done beforehand. Reinhardt nodded, fully understanding what he meant.
こたびの立役者へまずは褒美を与えねばならんだろう。
Are we talking about Wilhelm right now or something? I feel like, yeah. Well, let's end the episode, for. Let's end the episode. Oh my god! We have some action. It's going crazy here, kind of. We are getting to a very good point slowly. Actually had not look at this. Boom. Experience something. Deja vu. Arcane hegemony. We know. It's nice that they add something like that over here. That's for sure. Anywho, let's end it. Quite a bit happened. We had, well, 2 very quick fights. So I assume, I don't know, maybe next episode, maybe not next, but even the one after this, we'll get to see like a proper battle between some of the characters. To be honest, I assume right now Reinhardt meant the main actor to be Wilhelm. Yeah, I have a feeling like that. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I expect like a big battle coming right around the corner. So yeah. I kinda expected, you know, when our skeleton of sorts was trying the attack, Ludwig was like, no, don't attack me, blah blah blah. I kind of expected maybe Wilhelm to arrive there. But well, I guess I was mistaken a little bit about that. Which is fine. We still have more to see. Anywho, hope you all enjoyed the episode. Consider liking the video. That is always helpful for the channel. If you're new to the channel, of course, subscribe. There will be more this year. After that, there will be more games, because there always are more games. The games, there's a kind of, you could say, sort of an infinite source of them. So, you know, we'll keep playing them. And that's about it. Unless you really want to go the extra step, you enjoy something like Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, you can follow me there as well. It's in the description. That's it. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow as well. Bye bye.